Hey guys, there's this really deep longing in my being to share a YouTube video right now. And as that desire to share started to really come forward in a strong way, I got curious about its origins. It's like I wanted to discover what are the true origins of this desire to share. And I found these origins were rooted in two different places. I feel the primary place, mostly, is this desire to just share truth. Like I just want to become more and more able to just be honest, to just shed the egoic layers, to shed the character, or to just temporarily lay it down to the side and to just let truth flow through my being. There is just a simple joy, it's simple yet profound, the joy in just sharing truth with no end in mind. Just like it's similar to the Bhagavad Gita, the reward is the work. It's like the reward is the sharing. And so that is so deep in me, this desire to share from that true place, the desire to just let truth flow through. And then I was discovering that there's this other place where my desire is rooted in, which is in this place, you could say it derives more from lack or fear or trauma or separation. And I could feel like the desire to share when I feel into this place is it wants a response. This is the place that wants, maybe views and likes and new subscribers. There's an end in mind. And to notice how those can be happening simultaneously to greater or lesser degrees. And to also have tenderness to that part of me that wants something from this, that wants to find its wholeness in this. That's this part that will share, that doesn't already feel whole and complete. It feels incomplete in it, and it's constantly on this kind of treadmill. That's like if I'm whatever, share, then I'll feel more whole. Or if I get whatever the thing is that it's desiring through sharing, then it'll feel whole. So it's two parts. It's like there's a part that's here that's always feeling whole, that knows itself as source, that knows that there's nothing that can really add to it through doing this, that it just does this for the joy of doing it, and it has no expectations. It is not concerned with a response or a result or an outcome. It's just this very pure flowing energy of truth. But then to also notice along with that, there is this part of me that is still misperceiving reality in the sense that it still thinks it's separate. It's like a separate self. The separate self can show up and really want something from the work or from just the sharing that is just divinely guided. And it was just interesting to notice those two parts and to notice in the past when I've really shared from one of those places way more than the other, right? And to notice how the more that I continue to surrender myself to God, the more that I continue to live in alignment with truth, the more that the sharing seems to just naturally come from this place of freedom, this place of wholeness, this place that doesn't need anything from whoever is watching it, because it's already whole and complete. It's already one with God. And to also, be, like I probably have already kind of alluded to be gentle with the separate self, And sometimes I've even had the awareness to like, all right, separate self, you just go crazy. You do your thing. Like letting the separate self sometimes we have to let this kind of energy run itself, like run its course. Like I've made a lot of videos where I just let the separate self make it to get a result, make it to get what it thinks it needs to be whole from it, and to even give it that temporary experience where it makes whatever kind of video and it gets what it thought it wanted, right? And it has this temporary feeling of like a high of like, oh, I got what I needed to feel whole and now I'm whole. But then it's like only allowing it to get that in a sense so that it could feel how it was so impermanent, how it could feel like that sense of completeness that it derived through getting a certain response or outcome or result, how that wholeness was just so fleeting and how it just vanishes once more, and how this part of me it needs more. It always needs more. It's like the hungry ghost, right? And how the hungry ghost can show up when it comes to sharing our gifts or being creative. And then so it's almost like the hungry ghost in a sense can have the realization like, oh, my completeness isn't found, through an achievement, a result, an outcome, a response, other people loving me. It's like this part gets to learn through experience because you let the energy run its course. It gets to learn like, oh, wow, my wholeness can only come from God. And it's God that I truly seek. It's like that's what the separate self can almost sort of learn layer by layer. I've had so many separate selves emerge that thought they were going to get the sense of wholeness from something out here. And then they realized through experience, it's like, oh no, God, it's only God that can satiate me, that can fulfill me. And so that separate self surrenders into God. And then the next separate self, please step forward. And then the next, and then the next. And I think I've had so many separate selves come forward and then just kind of merge into God through the experiencing out of getting what they think they wanted, and it can be in relationship, work, whatever, and then realizing like, oh man, this isn't actually sustainable. This isn't the sustenance I was actually craving. And through getting what they want and it not fulfilling them, the separate self surrenders into God. And it's just a beautiful process. And I think I'm getting to this place where I can still feel a lot of the separate selves if you want, or we don't have to make it multiple, but like it can be a big energy. And the energy is really just rooted in fear and lack. It's just an energy that's misperceiving reality. And so yeah, that was an inquiry I had today of like this desire to share and where does it ultimately spring forth from, and noticing the different places that it can spring forth from, and to not make ourselves wrong if we notice it's springing forth from the separate self that wants to get something from giving its gifts from whatever. Not making ourselves wrong if we notice there's a separate self that has a desire it wants to fulfill through the work, it's through its calling. Because in that way, it's like you don't want to push that part away from you. That's just fragmentation. It's like a welcoming forward of it. And sometimes we just let it do its little dance. It's like, sure, do your little dance, homie. Like you go get it. you get that thing you think you need to have wholeness. Because then only then will you probably realize that it's not the thing you actually wanted. Oh, little homies. That's funny. I think the thing, though, that's in my body now is I've let myself go get the thing I thought I wanted so many times that there's been this refinement in my consciousness, in my energy field, in my body, that I now know, like, oh, she ain't gonna do it, man. Like 100 likes on a video ain't gonna do it. Like, or whatever the thing is. It used to really be money. And I would have so much money in my checking account in my 20s, you know? Or I'd have such a huge poker win. And it would like work for 30 minutes or a day or 2 days, maybe if I was lucky. But then I would need double the amount I had in my checking account. I would need to go play bigger stakes at poker. I'd need to win more. And so, yeah, it's a funny game that we play. And sometimes we have to play it to its ultimate conclusion. We have to almost let the karma run out or something. We have to let these energies run their course. That's a tantric way to move through it. And sometimes that's the quickest way. And when you do that a lot, then you have this refinement in your field, this deep knowing, like it's almost immediate. It's like, man, it turns itself back around. It's like, oh, it's just God, it's only God that's going to satisfy this craving, this emptiness, this lack, this fear, this desire, this wanting. And you just start to know it immediately. But then it's like you get more free and you get to be more authentic, and yeah, you're less compromised energetically. Because you start to feel a lot less dependent on the things you thought you once needed for wholeness. You realize, oh, those aren't my path to wholeness. So that's the freedom. It's like that whole illusion that something out here is going to do it for you, it just falls away. And so then you're just more free to be yourself, because it's almost like there's no such thing as rejection anymore. Because when you feel this oneness with God, it's like, I can't even put it into words yet because I'm not totally there, if I'm being honest. It's like this is where my awareness starts to get thinner and thinner, because this knowing is really just starting to deepen for me. And it's like I have a sense of it because it's starting to become more of a reality. But yeah, I am where I am. And so, hope whatever I shared was helpful for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this work, for being a part of this whole ascension path that we're on together. Yeah, I just appreciate you all so much. If you'd like to support this work with a donation, there are links in the description box below. Those are always very much appreciated, and I thank you guys from my heart for, just being here, for being willing to do this work, for being such a brave soul to be on earth at this time right now. Yeah, it means a lot. There's also a link in the description box if you feel called to work with me one-on-one. I have sessions. I just love meeting you guys in that space, in that container. I just feel like I just feel so much Divine Mother in it, and so much like grace in connecting in that way. And so it's always such an honor to help and to serve you in those healing containers. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling here at the end. I just want to say I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.